So the time frame that we're going to be going forward with is now 2006, 2007 mainly, when I was 16 and 17. So during this era, the familiar became aware of me. He still never said anything. The best way I can explain it is if in these visions that I was having of him, I was the camera, all that he did after this point was just sometimes come closer to the camera. That's all he did, literally. Okay. But he was aware that I was there and that I was witnessing him. And he had been alone wherever he was, man. Like, he was always alone. And sometimes these visions of him would be like in this environment where it was so nondescript. I don't even know, like, if it was a place, if it was a room, if it was outside somewhere. Like, I really don't know where he even was, man. But he was always alone, and there was always this sense of like distance, reserved, detached, quiet, distant. Never said anything. You know what I mean? He felt comforted by the fact that he wasn't completely alone, or that at least he knew somebody was watching him. I don't know if he knew it was me. I don't even know. But he just knew he wasn't alone, and maybe he did know it was me. But he developed some type of feeling surrounding that. It's almost like giving Stockholm syndrome. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's pretty much the bottom line on that. And so at this point, 2006, 2007, he had become aware, and those were his feelings on it. Now I'm pretty sure of a few things. The familiar and the entity were separate, and the familiar wasn't moving things around. Yeah, see, like, during this whole friggin' time, dude, like, the strange occurrences are happening in my home, and I'm thinking for some reason that it's the familiar doing these things, right? I'm thinking that it's him moving stuff around, but man, now I just kind of don't, I don't think it was now, I really don't. Like, I don't even know what the deal with him was. I don't know if the vision of him in the supermarket was really the late 70s or the early 80s. It could have been the late 60s or the early 70s. I mean, based on those pictures that I saw of the supermarkets, that didn't look that much freaking different. I mean, it might have been earlier than I thought. And maybe he did, like, die or something, or was born or died or something, and then was, like, brought to the morgue or something like that. I don't know, man. But based on the vision that I had of him later on, when he was laying on the kitchen floor that looked like a kitchen from the 60s, is all I'm really going to ballpark it as, because, like, think about it, if you live in a house, if the kitchen looks like it's from the 60s, then it could be the 60s, or it could be the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s, right? That doesn't mean, just because you're in a house where the kitchen looks like it's from the 60s doesn't mean it's actually the 60s. I don't know if it was before or after that. I don't know if I had this vision before or after what I call the main event. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the story of the main event. It's an afternoon in September 2006. I'm 16. And by that time, the familiar had become aware of me. I explained that, okay? Because I had seen him in a supermarket, I kind of thought in the back of my mind, anytime I went to a store that had aisles, like a supermarket, I kind of thought, I'm going to see him. He's going to be here sometime. 99.999% of the time, he wasn't. Until one day he was. I just never talked about it, and I've never told this story. Certainly I've never spoken this. I think I wrote it somewhere a really, really long time ago. So I spent years having this vision of him in a supermarket replay again and again and again in my mind. And he wasn't always in the supermarket. Like, sometimes he was in a different setting, whatever. My mom and dad and me, and I think, like, my dad's friend too, But we like broke up into different groups, and it was just me and my mom in our little group, and then my dad and his friend like went off or whatever. Me and my mom walk into Walmart in my hometown, and there's a Subway sandwich shop connected to this Walmart when you walk in on the right side. As we're walking in, I kind of noticed, but not really, didn't really register with me, this boy walking out. Like, if he had been in an aisle or some shit, I would have probably really taken notice, because I did take note of what he was wearing. So Mom and I go into Subway, we get in line, okay, and she's standing here on my left side. This boy comes back in, cuts in line of the other people who had gathered behind us in line, cuts in line, dude, comes up to me and stands right here. And he's standing right there staring at me. He's just standing there staring at me. He didn't say nothing. And out of the corner of my eye, I can see what he's wearing. I can see how he's dressed. I can see vaguely how he looks, what he looks like. And I'm frozen. I'm like shocked. After a while of him standing there staring at me, he finally, quietly said hi. Okay? And then just continues to stare at me and stand there, facing me, staring at me. And I can't fucking respond. I can't say anything. I can't move. I can't like turn my head, dude. Like, I just am fucking shocked. It was him. He was wearing the same fucking clothes. The white t-shirt, the jeans, and the sneakers. That was how he was dressed. This was 2006. And his clothing was vintage. Just put it that way. It was the clothes from the vision. Not the jacket. He wasn't wearing the jacket. Because in other sightings that I had of him in these visions, he wasn't always wearing the jacket. But he was always wearing the white t-shirt, the jeans, and the sneakers, okay? With a buzz cut. Dude. So he turns around and faces the counter and kind of leans over the counter. And this person, okay, this kid, this boy, I mean, he looked like okay, so I was 16. He looked like he could be a year or two younger than me. Okay, so like 15, 14. I don't think he was my age. I think he was like a little bit younger than me, okay? When he turned around and just like leaned over the counter, okay, I was able to then like turn my head and look at him, okay? And he had a buzz cut. He was wearing the outfit. And I never in this process, okay, I never saw his face directly on. I never saw his eyes. I never saw his eyes. All right. And I didn't see his face directly on. Whenever I was able to turn and just like look at him directly, okay, I was looking at the side of his head and like his whole back and, you know, his side and stuff. And so I'm finally able to like turn and like look at him directly, okay? None of his attire was from 2006 or 2000 or even the fucking 90s, okay? Like, I'm serious. And I just could not believe this. It was like seeing an alien, dude. It was like, and I wondered over the years if it fucking was that this was like an alien or something. Whatever, like, I'm not going to get into that, but it was just like, you know, I don't know. Because I've just like racked my brain over the years. Like, what the fuck was this? What went down? What was this whole thing? So he turns around and leans over the counter, and like, you know, the glass part of it's fucking Subway where all the stuff is that you tell them you want on your sandwich, okay? And the lady was trying to take his order. She was taking his order, but the thing was that he wasn't speaking. He was pointing. He never said another fucking word, okay? And when he pointed at shit, he was doing that shit with like, this kid had attitude, okay? This kid had like some type of fucking presence that was just like not like everybody else, okay? I mean, this person standing here in the fucking flesh, dude. Wasn't like anybody I've ever fucking seen or anything, dude. Like, okay, so anyways, man, he was just pointing at everything. My mom and me got our food and then went and sat down at a table. He got his stuff and he left. And when we sat down at the table, me and my mom, I was like, did you notice that boy who like came in and cut in line and stood beside me? I can't remember exactly what she said, man, okay? I'm not gonna act like I remember exactly what she said. She said something along the lines of, yeah, you look kind of familiar. Something like that, dude. I swear she said. If that wasn't what she said some shit like that. She said something like that, dude. And I didn't go into the details. I wasn't like, yeah, that was the boy from The Vision. I didn't say none of that, dude. I was just wondering, first of all, if like if she saw him, did anybody else see him? And obviously the chick was making his sandwich and looking at him, you know, so she must have seen him. So what is the explanation for that? What is the explanation for me going for years with this in the back of my mind whenever I went to a grocery store, you know, whenever I went to Walmart, whenever I went to any grocery store, but especially Walmart? I remember, like, it was especially Walmart, okay? And it's like, I remember going to Walmart so many times and thinking, like, is he gonna be here? And over the years I've thought, like, I mean, you know, was he like an innocent thrown into this shit? Was he like used in order to be part of this contact between me and the familiar and what I had thought was also the entity? Just tell me, what the fuck are the odds? What are the odds? You know what I mean? And so you could say, well, in the circles who believe in manifestation, did I manifest a whole ass real person? Doubt it. I fucking doubt it. I'm sorry. I doubt it. Like Close Encounters of the Third Kind or whatever, dude. Like, after this encounter, man, I would still have visions, but it was not as common. But it was still always there. Okay, but it just wasn't as common for me to have visions of him anymore. How affected are we, and how affected can we be by what goes on around us in the unseen and the sort of dramas that are playing out in the unseen, the machinations and the orchestrations going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain of reality that we can see? What is the full extent to which these things can affect us and manifest in our lives? What is the full extent of that? We need to find that out. We need to discuss these things as a society so we can find out exactly how much power and exactly how much sway and how much control does the unseen actually have in its various like categorizations and various phenomena. How much can it really affect our world and and us as people, us as vessels. I think all these things need to be examined. And again, if anything like this has ever happened to you, share it. Share the story. Because it's only if everybody else shares and if everybody shares their experiences that we are going to be able to, link these things together and come to conclusions and draw conclusions and figure this out. It's the only way is if everybody speaks up.